Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to the Left Out podcast. It is spooky season and we are so excited to have you guys joining us today. It is your local stallion, Miss Chira.
It's Naz.
And it's Vivs.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Like I was saying, it's spooky season. So we thought, why not have a little bit of a spooky episode, tell some true crime stories, talk a little bit about murder, and kind of just have a little bit of a different episode. So I think we're just going to jump straight into it. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's just go into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'm going to be talking about the Barbie and Ken case that happened in the 80s in Canada. Their names were Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolaka. So Paul was 23 and he was studying to be an accountant, and Carla was a 17-year-old working part-time at a pet shop. So they met at an animal convention that Carla was working at that convention, and like they hit it off straight away. You know, they were talking all night, and that night pretty much they became official as in a relationship. So he was 23 and she was 17. So I would say that was quite inappropriate, but like legally that wasn't. So Paul was described as good looking, charming and smart and charismatic. Carla, she was known to be like popular, sweet, kind, loved animals. So like on paper, it seemed like they were just amazing, and like they were both very good looking. So they were just like that good looking couple.
Yeah.
Like basically like goals, you know, in our times. So to give a background on Paul, his father was he sexually abused his daughter.
Yeah.
And was a molester. He was charged. His mother was verbally abusive towards him and his siblings. So apparently all of that didn't actually affect Paul, and he was still like a normal child. He's like, everyone still called him like bubbly and loving and sweet and charming and all those things. It wasn't until he was 16 and he found out that his dad was not his biological dad. That's when things started to change. I think obviously the trust that he had for his parents was broken and he felt betrayed. From then on, he started watching women in his neighborhood like undress from his room.
Yeah.
So he would like every day, constantly, whenever he had the time, well, he made time obviously, so he did it all the time. He would watch his female neighbors undress, and like, you know, it was very inappropriate. So then spring 1988, a sexual predator was roaming the streets in Scarborough, Canada. By May that year, there had been several different reports made by women. So eventually the media was labelling the attacks as the Scarborough rapist.
Wow.
Many attacks were happening and police were still unable to identify who the rapist was, because obviously they were very smart about it and they would attack their victims from behind. At first, the attacks were mild, like obviously still really horrible, but it was like groping and things like that. But as time went on, especially because there wasn't any like the police weren't catching anyone, over a year and no suspects, they became more violent. He would get them behind like some bushes and force them to perform oral on him, intercourse, and sometimes they were beaten afterwards. Eventually a sketch was released, so like a victim came forward and they got more of an image, so then the police sketched up something and he was released.
Yeah.
And friends of Paul were like, whoa, that looks like Paul, man, like what the hell? So one of his friends actually contacted the police saying that it looked like him. The police brought him in for questioning and asked him for a DNA test, and he happily agreed. But like obviously at that time, like, I don't know, it was very hard. It was like a slower process with DNA testing.
Yeah.
So basically his DNA test was just put on the shelf with like other DNA tests that they were running. So they just left it, and I think he freaked. And he was like, all right, my time's up over here and the gig is over here. So let me move to St. Catherine to live with his girlfriend Carla and her family. So obviously her parents loved him because he was like well educated, good looking, handsome, good on paper, yeah. Good for her, you know, like they were just like a perfect couple and they thought it was amazing. Like, yeah, come live with us, save your coins, like save your money, save your money, and like eventually you guys can get your own place. Like we're so happy to have you guys here.
Yeah.
And while they were living there, Paul and Tammy, which was Carla's 15-year-old sister, met. And obviously she looked up to him as like an older brother, and she was just so thrilled because obviously she didn't have any other brothers, and she just like they developed a bond. So Paul started to have deep twisted fascinations about her and would watch her undress and things like that. Yeah, so eventually he gave into his urges and told Carla, his girlfriend, that he wanted something that she couldn't give him. And she was
so
like,
wait, who
what
was
is
Paula?
it?
Paula was the sister.
Paul, no, so Paul.
Carla's his girlfriend. Tammy's the sister.
Tammy's
Yeah,
the sister. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And
okay.
then Paul's the man. Yeah.
Okay.
So she was like, obviously, like, so at this time of the relationship, so she didn't suspect him at all to be the Scarborough rapist. She didn't think anything because he was just a lovable partner. He would come home with flowers.
Wow.
He would cook like just perfect, like, you know, perfect.
The ideal guy.
Ideal guy would always tell her, I want to be with you forever. Like, I want to keep you safe. You know, just all those things that you want to hear from a partner. Like, he was just so good.
He really
like,
played the part.
yeah, like on surface, he was perfect. So, like, she didn't suspect a thing. So, when he said, I want you to give me something that I don't have or you can't give me, she was obviously like, oh, what can I give you? Like, I would do anything for you. And he said, I want a virgin.
Shit.
And he said, you're not a virgin and you can't give me that, but the closest thing would be your younger sister.
No.
This guy's crazy.
No.
Yep. So
So what does she do?
I'm at the edge of my seat.
Right?
so they agreed that they would drug her sister Tammy
No.
and he would rape her.
Oh man, fuck Carla.
You're right?
So they drugged her and they recorded the whole thing. Yep. And then he turned around to Carla and said, your turn. So she raped her sister.
What?
Yep. She raped her younger sister, her 15-year-old sister.
And she was drugged.
She was drugged. Her sister ended up starting to vomit and like starting to choke. So they started to freak out and they dressed her and pretended like they were resuscitating her from like a long night of drinking, and like she, you know, like she passed out from drinking. So that's basically, they called an ambulance and that's what they told her. They were like, oh, you know, she's been drinking and, you know, like underage drinking. She took it too far. Like she's not like, you know.
Yeah. They freaked out at that. Not the raping, but they freaked out at her choking.
Yeah, because
Fucking crazy. Okay.
she ended up dying. Tammy ended up dying. Yep. Yeah. And they got away with it.
What?
Because they said that basically like she like underage.
They said it was natural causes. She was ruled out as dying from natural causes. So obviously her family was devastated, but they're like, oh, my daughter. Yeah, it was in the 80s. So like my daughter just died from natural causes, you know, like teenagers, they drink, they experiment with drugs. Like, what can we do? It's just what happens.
Overdose. Damn.
Yeah. So they ended up becoming a tag team and finding girls on the streets, kidnapping them and raping them. This kept happening like over time. Like they would literally pull up and then
pull up.
Yeah, they'll just pull up, you know?
Is that they're doing in the 80s? Yeah, they're pulling up.
literally in their car, and they would pretend like, there was one case where they would pretend like they had this girl, I think she was also underage.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we're so lost. And they had the map out. So obviously it looks genuine. Mind you, again, I want to be like really like specific about this. They look like regular people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the word?
Folks. Yeah.
Like not even just regular, like what people would say were like
Regular. They're just-
top tier.
Yeah.
You know, like they're fire looking, like they're great looking, and they just
they
look put
okay.
together.
They're
They're
put
very
together.
good looking. They were both blonde, you know,
Yes,
like
Barbie and Ken.
Barbie and Ken. Yeah, exactly. So during the day, Barbie and Ken in the, oh my God, can you help us? We're lost. You're going to be like, yeah, no worries. You go up to the car and then they
See you
drag
later.
you,
Snatch you.
kidnap you. And what they would do is they would hold them captive and then just rape them and record them. And then eventually just when Paul just was like, I'm over it now, they would kill him and then they would dump him. Yeah, so
Shit, man.
that just kept happening. Eventually, Paul started to become more violent towards Carla. So he started becoming physically abusive towards her. And then she started telling him things like, oh, I'm going to leave you. And then he would threaten her like, oh, if you leave me, I'm taking you down. Like, I'm going to tell the police like that you killed your own sister, you raped her, all those things. So then she felt like she had to stay. That's what,
Please.
Yeah. So then they kept going, tag team, Barbie Ken, you know. And then eventually he beat her up so bad that she had to go to the emergency room. At around the same time that she was in the emergency room, the DNA samples from Scarborough finally came back positive. You know what's really interesting about this? Like, I don't know what was going on, but I don't know how they didn't connect the Scarborough rapes and attacks to the ones in St. Catherine. Like, they didn't connect it. Like, wait, hold on. The attacks in Scarborough have stopped. But now they have,
but
you know,
moved to St. Catherine,
it's crazy.
yeah, so it was messed up. So instead of going straight to Paul, they actually went to Carla. And at first she thought that they were coming to her about her, you know, like how she was beat up and stuff. And then they told her, like, you know, they started questioning her and she thought that they knew everything.
Yeah.
So then she went home to her parents and confessed everything.
And told them that she killed her sister.
Yeah, and they were like, you need to get a lawyer.
Carla this ain't our problem. That's what they told her.
Yep, get a lawyer.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Bitch, get a lawyer. There'd be another murder. My parents would kill me.
She basically sort of convinced the police that she was actually a victim. She played that victim card, that it was all Paul.
Yeah.
He manipulated me, this, like I couldn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. But she still admitted to all the crimes. So she said that she would help them in order to get like a lower
reduced
sentence.
Yeah.
So eventually they got him in court, and then but what they didn't reveal is like they eventually found all the videotape recordings.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Of them committing the crimes.
After the plea deal, and that was hidden from the media, and the media eventually, when they found out, they went crazy because she made it like she was a victim, but she was a partner.
So wait,
in the
she never
crimes.
got any sentence.
She did, but she did get a sentencing.
But it was like nothing.
It wasn't as long. His was
it?
life.
Yeah.
I think it was like 17 years or something like that.
So she got away with it.
Yeah. So like apparently as well, like once you've already been
Trial, double
you can't-
jeopardy. You
yeah.
can't, you can't retrial her.
So
Really, you can't be retrialed.
Nah.
So that was intentional. They
If you go to
hid
trial,
yeah.
they hid those recordings because they knew it would extend her sentence.
No,
they just found them.
They
Please,
found it late. They found it
they found them
late.
after.
They were so bad at this
Yeah.
whole thing. Like, he got away with this for so long, and then when they finally, like, she told them everything, it took them forever to find the recordings.
That's
Like,
crazy.
it took them forever. And then after she's already, like, you know, stood in court and things like that, then they find it, and then they kept, like, you know, they didn't reveal that to anyone.
Jeez.
That is wild.
That's crazy.
That
Yeah.
is
That's
so
like real
wild.
Bonnie and Clyde shit.
Legit.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde 2.0.
But Carla wasn't a ride or die.
Oh no, she definitely wasn't.
Carla was not a ride or die.
she was,
She snitched.
she snitched.
As
she
if she
did.
didn't even do the crime.
And obviously she ended up hating him because
Fuck
he
outta here,
started
hating him for
abusing
what?
her.
She did it too.
Okay,
Exactly.
piece of shit.
She killed her sister, bro.
Yeah,
She killed her
goodbye.
sister.
That's the first part where
That's
you're like, there's
hilarious.
something
Get a
wrong
lawyer.
there.
That is hilarious.
Over a man. You
Get
killed your
a
sister
lawyer.
over a
First thing you
man.
tell her.
Yeah.
You know what's so crazy? Just think about what you were saying about the DNA thing. It's, I don't know if you guys have seen on like on Ancestry. You know how people do their Ancestry.com and like giving their DNA and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays they actually, if they can't find it, like say for example, there's an ongoing case and they can't find somebody, they actually access the Ancestry.com and all those things and find people's DNAs and see if they can link it to
anyone,
to somebody that can to the crime.
That's
basically
crazy.
That's so crazy. I feel like that's so like illegal. Like that's crazy, but like they do it all the time now. Apparently, there's like some sort of waiver when you sign up to those sites,
So
that, like,
that you can that
DNA.
the FBI, whoever, can access your DNA.
This is completely like, it relates to what you're saying, but it's kind of like, have you seen those ones where it's like where they try and find like your genogram and like people say, oh yeah, like I'm 2% Nigerian.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm African.
I am, exactly. I'm a sister. Have you seen that TikTok?
Oh my god. It's just so annoying. It's like when white people say, I have a black friend.
Yeah, it's true. No, but I don't know if you've seen the TikTok, but the lady did it. She did this genealogy thing. And she came back 3% Nigerian, and she's like, guys, I'm 3% Nigerian. I'm a sister. I'm a sister.
It's so fucking annoying.
Do you know what's just so sad about this whole thing is like none of the
Those poor
none of the attack, like she wouldn't have died, the sister.
Yeah.
And like none of the attacks would have like happened in the other area if they had just got him in Scarborough. If it was like different times and like, you know, and if they I just don't know how they didn't put it together with this sketch. Like I don't get it. Like,
and someone even said, that kind of looks like
my mate.
Yeah, that looks like my
he
mate.
snitched too. He called the cops.
He does. Absolutely.
Damn.
It looks like, because it looked a lot like him.
Yeah.
Like, that looks like my buddy Paul.
But back then, it
but they
was
wouldn't
like
suspect it because you know, he's like our regular Ted Bundy.
Yeah,
he
he
wouldn't suspect it because he was a dime piece.
I feel like back then it was so common for like murderers and all those things to have like, they just went on a murder spree or rape spree. Like it was so common for them to like not just have one under their belt. They would go through towns through like for years and never get caught.
Yeah.
Like obviously because of the technology and things like that nowadays, that shit can never happen. But it's crazy.
The one thing I feel like that stands out is I feel like the reason why he got away with it for so long is because he looked like he didn't look like he looked normal in quotation marks, you know, and that's like sparked something in me. And I'm like, it's so interesting when you look at people and you just go down the street and you're like who you would think is like just like normal could be actually twisted and actually could kill you or could murder you, rape you or anything. Like, and it just was like, damn, you can't trust people. And then there's those people that you're like, man, they look dodgy. And they're actually the nicest people in the world. Yeah.
100%. Like I remember like every time I see, no offense, every time I see like what I assume is like that biker, like the bikie guy.
I'm offended.
But every time I see them, I'm like, like I get nervous, you know? Yeah. And then every interaction I've had, they're honestly the sweetest people ever. But it's because of this such a stereotype of them being like, you know, like crazy. I'm sure that, you know, there's people that are like that as well. But like, then they're not all like that. They're the sweetest people ever.
Yeah.
Comes
like
back to that saying, don't judge a book by its cover.
No, it really is true.
But she's right. Like there's people that we walk past or people that we would be like, oh, shake their hands, you know, respect them, yada, yada.
And if they're good looking,
behind
you're
closed
like,
doors,
sure.
Behind closed doors.
I'll help you find where you need to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Behind closed doors is something different.
They're twisted motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Double suicide turned homicide. When we talk about tragedies, we often forget those in our communities who were model citizens who unfortunately left us either too soon or unexpectedly. That is the case when we talk about Sam Poss, a young person who did not seem hounded by regular teenage angst, a model member of his small town community in Georgia. His family say he was an easygoing and unapologetically geeky young person who often had the tendency to wear odd socks, which inspired his fellow marching band members to also do the same. This later becoming a tradition of the Perry High School band after Sam Poss unfortunately lost his life. He was quite the intelligent young person who his father said often used to spend much of his time tinkering, pulling items apart to assess the internal electric boards and reassembling them to a better condition than what they were in before. His family report he was so at home with himself. His father stated, he knew who he was and didn't care what anyone else thought about him, even with all of his quirks. On the last night of his life, one of his peers reached out to him to help him with some computer-based work. Poss, who was well known for his kindness and generosity, agreed, and it is so unfortunate that his commendable traits became the cause of his murder. That night, on October 2016, Poss made his way to his peer's house to help him with his computer assignment, not knowing this would be the last night of his life. Authorities later discovered that the two classmates and close friends, Dakota White and Brandon Warren, 17 and 18, lured Poss to White's house and tragically took his life. The two admitted that their plan was too easy. They picked up Poss from his family home, drove him to White's grandparents' house, and stabbed him in the passenger seat of White's car. They stated they also used a phone cord to strangle Poss, and when this cord broke, White continued to strangle Poss with his bare hands. They told the judge during his trial there was so much blood, Warren even grinning as he stated this. The two, post the brutal murder, dumped the body in the woods and continued their escapades by going to their local hardware store for some carpet cleaner to clean the evidence from the car. Warren stated, I was so angry the cleaner was so expensive. So what was the motive, you ask? What drove the two classmates to take Poss's life? Reporters wish they were able to find the source of the murder to have been a matter more insidious, but the truth being, the murder lay with two young people, Dakota and Brandon, whom both had planned to complete a double suicide and in the midst of their planning had decided to murder someone as they had nothing to lose and wanted to experience the feeling of killing someone for themselves. These statements were later expressed by the two young people during their trial. Both young people expressed having crippling dark thoughts and did not hide these feelings between the two of them. The young people stated, we figured we might as well. It came down to might as well see how it feels. They reported to the court that Poss was not a targeted victim. He just happened to be the only person to reply to them and as such ended up being the victim of the murder. At the trial, White's attorney pleaded that the young person be given some leniency to his sentence as he had extremely dark thoughts and he thought that suicide was the only option. What he did was wrong, but at the end of the day, he confessed his sins. So what do you guys think?
I feel like that's really like complex. Like that isn't a regular case.
Nah.
So the two kids were planning to commit suicide.
Yeah, to do like a double suicide.
But before that, they wanted to see what it was like to kill somebody.
Basically.
So they murdered Sam Poss.
Yeah.
And then they confessed their sins, and then, wow.
Sorry.
I don't even know how to like.
It's fucked, bro.
It's fucked. I feel so sorry for that kid.
Like he was just like they were all classmates.
It was a little experiment.
Yeah. They just wanted to know what it felt like.
Oh my god.
But it's like hard, obviously, because they're kids. But
still,
it's still fucked up.
Yeah, it's still fucked up. They took a life.
They did. They took a life. Because, like, even when I was reading it, I was just kind of like...
What was the background of their lives?
It didn't say, like, specifically, like, when I was reading, like, my articles. But, like, from what I got from it was, like, these two kids, Dakota and Brandon, they basically, like, just had, like, a lot of dark thoughts. And obviously they must have confided in each other and, like, seeked, like, some solitude within each other.
Yeah.
And then in that, like... they kind of grew this plan of like, you know what, like life's really shit. We've got each other. Let's end our lives together. Yeah. Let's take our lives together.
Yeah.
And then like in that planning, like I think like the darkness in their minds was kind of like, well, we want to know what it feels like to kill someone. And like when they went to the police and like admitted what they'd done, they clearly said like, to be honest, Sam
was remorseful. They were,
well, I feel like Dakota White was remorseful, but Brandon Warren was kind of like, I think he was like the driving force of like actually taking Sam's life, because they were saying that like the last thing that Dakota said to Sam was, "I'm so sorry." Like as he killed him, he was like, "I'm so sorry." But like, you know, sometimes when you're like you're so deep in something, and it's too late.
It's too late.
And unfortunately, this young person was already dead. Like they dumped his body in the woods, and they were able to keep quiet about it for 4 days, and then they turned themselves in.
Jeez.
So like, it's kind of like one of those things where like,
did they end up?
The case is still at trial.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's crazy, man.
Sorry, what year was this?
2016.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not far away, but like it's crazy to think like you can just lose your life and not expect it. Because imagine this guy who was just living his life.
Oh,
like
Sam?
Yeah, Sam. He was just living his life.
Yeah.
And these kids reached out to him and like help us with our computer work.
Yeah. Innocent.
And he was like, yeah, of course. Like these are my classmates.
And like what kills me is they just wanted to know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like that's why they killed him. They just killed him, like took a life just
for lols.
Just for lols.
It's really sad though.
It's so sad.
But then it makes you start thinking like, do you guys think that human beings were intrinsically like good? Like we're like good, or are we like intrinsically
like born good?
Yeah.
That whole are you like everyone's born good?
Like pure like a blank slate, or do you feel like these are like learned behaviors? Like, or do we have all of us? Do we have that murderer inside of us?
No, I don't think we have the murder. I feel like those type of thoughts and things are kind of maybe not taught to us, but I think life
conditioned.
Yeah, it's conditioning into you some sort of way. The way you're raised, what you're around, you know, things like that. What you see, those behaviors are, you know, kind of, and sometimes honestly,
chemical,
and also your chemical imbalance.
Like in terms of
sometimes it's honestly just, you know, things were just not meant to happen for you.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I feel like yes, I do believe that. I like to look at the glass half full. You know, like I believe that everyone is born good, and then
life just conditions you.
That's it. That's just day one. You're born good.
Yeah,
but day two and onwards, it's up to you.
I feel like that's true for the most part. But just like you said before, like some people are born with like a chemical imbalance. So like,
but I think when you're born, like I'm talking about day one.
Like, fresh out the womb.
Yeah. I feel like you are, but like when you're a child.
I don't know, like also like when things happen, like say you're a product of like
your environment.
No, like before you're even born, like as in like while you're in the womb. Like wouldn't that also
yeah, that's true. That is very true. Yeah. Because it's like even like, you know how there's cases where if your mother is a heroin addict, right? And you're pregnant, she's pregnant. Yeah. It's like those, you become a heroin addict, baby. Yeah.
Like it's more, you're more likely
and
to follow the plan.
Like those things, you got before,
It's true though.
Before you even breathe, like that shit already is in your system.
Even like going back to, I can use R. Kelly as an example. Like a lot of like psychoanalysis of his case and like why he did the things that he did. Like I was reading into some of that, and like some psychologists were saying because he himself and his brother were victims of sexual assault, he was more likely to actually like become that and portray
that's
portray
very
those
common.
behaviors.
It's very common. A lot of the time, people that are
victims of abuse,
become predators.
That's very common.
So like that's why
it's like that little.
It's a push and a pull.
Yeah, push and a pull, because it's like they were victims themselves, and that's like a big reason as to why they became predators. They didn't get the help that they needed.
Yeah. But then I think there's a point in life where it becomes your responsibility to like seek psychotherapy for those things.
Definitely.
There's a period in your life where you start being accountable for your actions and accountable for your emotions and the things that they produce. So it's I can't make
learn from mistakes of others.
What about the kids? Like their kids, like how do we know like what their childhood was like?
Exactly. I think this case was very hard for me personally because I was like, damn, like these are young kids. Children, they're kids, man.
Yeah, I think it becomes like a situation where it's just like prison talk is like, okay, when you harm yourself, that's your responsibility, right?
Yeah.
But when you're taking you're putting the harm on others, that's when it's a big like no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like so for example, if someone was having or like this case, like this case, an example, right? If this person was planning to commit suicide, him and his friend were trying to plan this whole, like they've picked a date, we're doing it on this day, this is the plan.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you're conspiring to murder someone else, that's when it's like,
There's a line.
yeah.
There's a line.
Because you're harming somebody else. They
That's
didn't agree
right.
to that plan.
That's it.
And also, like, isn't like, when you, like, don't you know, like, as like human beings, that's like a wrong, like, even if you're a child, like, don't you know that that's a wrong thing to do
Yeah, that's it.
as well?
Not necessarily. Sometimes
crazy.
it seems like common sense, but like we said before, people we don't.
Uncommon.
Yeah,
Common sense
it's
is
sometimes it's
uncommon.
uncommon to people.
Yeah, and also like that thing of like you can't assume because it's something for you that's
Yeah.
like your worldview.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's everyone's worldview.
And a lot
Yeah,
of the
that's
time,
true.
the law is set up on people's like morals, right?
Yeah, that's
the
it.
morality of people. But a lot of the time, like as we know, not even a lot of time, my morals may not stand with your morals.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
You know, so that's where this shit gets a bit messy and iffy. But like, that's a
As
fucked
another
up.
question, like in regards to double suicide, I was like, I kind of got lost in the rabbit hole of this. And there's like been like a lot of cases recently where like people will plan a double suicide and one person goes through with it and the other person doesn't.
Oh, like a cop out.
Yeah.
Damn.
So like they kind of get there and then they get scared and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
And then they get charged as being a part of like assisted dying. So like there was this other case that I was reading about, like about this so there were a couple, a girlfriend and a boyfriend, and the girlfriend, and they basically planned, they're like, we're gonna do double suicide, they were gonna do like carbon monoxide poisoning in the car.
Yeah.
So basically the girlfriend was like texting the boy and he kept like backing out, like being like, I don't want to do it anymore. Have you heard about this one? Yeah. It's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then she kind of pushed him and was like, you know what, like, fuck you. Like, it's fucked up. And she was like, you keep on saying you want to die, so just do it. And he did, like, he actually ended up taking his life and she got charged for it. And I was like, this is so crazy. Like, when you look at it, because is it like assisted euthanasia essentially?
In a sense, yes, but I think she deserved the jail.
I think she
Definitely.
deserved the jail
Because
time.
she,
Because she
like,
pushed him.
She pushed him. There was text
Yeah.
messages where she was like, "Do it, do it, do it." Like she
Yeah.
even planned. Like they had. I remember because she. I think in the text it was like, "I'm doing it. I'm doing it at 9:00 on whatever on a Wednesday," and it was like, "Girl, like you are pushing this man
To do it.
to do it, and you know you're not going to go through with it."
No, she was.
She knew she wasn't going to go through with it. I don't know. It's fucked up.
It is
It's fucked up.
She's a
so
bitch.
messed up.
She
man.
she deserved that.
She
shit.
definitely deserved it.
See,
And
I'm-
even like I think they show the text messages. They're so
Yeah,
fucked
they
up.
did. They're really
Yeah,
messed
she was
up.
no. She was saying crazy shit to him.
Yeah.
And even like in the court case, she just didn't look remorseful. Like I feel like sometimes criminals are so good at pretending that they're remorseful and they're sorry, but a lot of the time they're not. Like
Because they don't know what they've done wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
chemical imbalance.
Sometimes sometimes they want her to do that shit. Like
Yeah.
not even like on some like
Like
you
an
know,
adrenaline rush, bro.
Like
Yeah,
I want him to die.
just want to
But I don't
experience
know-
it.
What did she want him to die for?
I don't
Because
know.
I think she got fed up of him constantly saying like, I want to commit suicide. I want to
Oh,
commit
yeah.
suicide.
I think it was
So it's like,
depressed
just
or
do
something.
it
Just
then.
do it then.
Yeah.
Essentially, she was just kind of like,
Egging him
just
on.
do it.
Instead of like
Yeah.
helping him, yeah.
Yeah. No, but like it wasn't like on some like not even with that, but she was honestly like she told him what to do. She
Yeah.
was the one that told him about
Yeah.
the carbon monoxide. She was the one that told him to do it now, do it now. It
Yeah.
wasn't on like just whatever, just do it.
And then it was really sad because
planned
the
it.
last
She
text
planned it.
was, have you done it? And then he didn't reply. So-
Oh.
Fucked up.
That sounds
She's
Whoa.
so
Have you done
crazy.
it?
She's so crazy.
it's so fucked
I
up.
hope she rots in jail.
Wow. Oh my
Don't.
god, that's crazy. Wow.
All right, I have like a last one before I push it over to Fevin. So there was another one I was reading about this priest called Reverend George Exo.
Oh, I already know it's fucked up.
Yeah.
There's a priest, man.
Reverend.
At the start of the video,
already
the start
know
of the
it's fucked
video
up.
said,
Okay,
if you can't trust a pastor, who can you trust? And that's how it enticed me. I was like, I need to watch this now. So basically, this man assisted over 102 people to take their lives. So all of these people were
Okay, go on. Sorry.
So in America, there's apparently a law that you can like sit and watch someone take their life, but you can't actually take their life for them. So it's like assisted euthanasia. So in the state that he was in, it was legal. So 102 people, and then he decided, there was this lady in Ireland who was like, oh, I want to take my life. I'm really depressed. Like, I've heard that you come and you pray over people and you assist them in taking their lives. Can you come and help me? Flew over to Ireland, and he basically watched this lady. So she took like an overdose with alcohol, and then she like self-suffocated with helium. But in Ireland, euthanasia is illegal.
Illegal?
It's illegal.
Oh, okay.
So he flew back to America, and then the Irish government now wanted to indict him because they were like, you broke the law.
Yeah.
And then the American government were like, no, he didn't break no laws in our jurisdiction. So this man he served like, I think it was like 2 years in prison in America. And then he got acquitted because they were like, you didn't break any laws here. But then it brought me to the question, like, what do you guys think about the fact that he assisted, like, as like someone who stands as a figure of God, he assisted 102 people to die. Like he helped them commit suicide.
I have a bit of I don't know. I sit on the fence with this.
With you,
because I understand it in some cases. Like, man, sometimes people don't like. No, who wants to be a vegetable in a bed?
Yeah,
just to okay. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like sometimes, and if someone is telling you, I am in pain. I am not functioning. I am not. I can't even wipe my ass. I can't talk. I can't feed myself. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And they genuinely there's no life for them on this earth.
Yeah.
I understand that, but then I also, because I am a child of God, I understand that side too. Like, we don't determine when our end date is.
I don't.
But
agree. I feel like I'm completely for euthanasia.
100%. Like in
I
all
think there's
regards.
some cases where the euthanasia can be a bit to the left.
think for me it depends, because I think sometimes as people we like to play God too much. Yeah. Like, that's my personal opinion. There's some things that like we try and take autonomy to like the next level.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with euthanasia for like medical complications if like your quality of life is going to just be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, in that way, 100%.
But there's some people who will go through a breakup and then they'll be like, I want to die. Like, I think you need like major.
Even in cases where when the mother is pregnant, when the woman is pregnant, and then she may be reaching a certain point in her pregnancy, she might be 30 weeks, right? And she'll be like, oh, I don't want the kid. And if there's a certain place where they may be able to do that, they can try and fight that. So I think at that point, that's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. 30 weeks?
Yeah. It's crazy. I think you need like...
That's too far. Like, that's like literally that's full.
It is. It's fool's born, man.
Like, no.
I think there's like, for euthanasia, personally for me, if it was to be legalized, I think everybody who wants to go through with it needs major psycho-evaluation first.
Oh, definitely.
To deem that they're actually wanting it for like viable reasons.
Yeah.
And it's not something that can be managed through like psycho-assessment. But that's my personal opinion. Yeah.
But if you're like I said, if your quality of life is just very out of low. Yeah. And, you know, your family is like, you're just suffering in that bed, in that chair, wherever you are. I just think I understand.
But what if
the case in that sense?
But
where
what
you
if
need
like,
to go, where you feel like you need to go?
But what if there's like different types of suffering? Like
for sure. Mm-hmm.
Like obviously you think like the type of suffering that should be accepted is like, you are a vegetable.
I said quality of life though.
Okay.
When your quality of life is at a low, then yes, I think that.
But I kind of get what she's saying though. Like, I think she's like, well, like not using your words, but like for us, quality of life might be like medical complications. Mm-hmm. But what if that person has like psychological complications?
That is a medical complication.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It all encompasses in one. But yeah, I think it depends. If it's
such
like
a tricky topic.
It is. It's very tricky. It's not. That's what I'm saying. I sit on the fence with it because, it's not. I'm not like 100% on one side because there's so many different layers to it, and it's just I'm just kind of like take it case by case. But I've never heard of a reverend.
Yeah, you should go watch the documentary.
That's a
Reverend George Exo.
So what does he do? Just pray?
Yeah, he sits there, hold your hand. He'll be like, babe, you got this. God's waiting for you.
Oh, I don't see what's wrong with that.
Like
that's calm.
Nice.
That's nice.
But it's peaceful.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful, but it's assisted dying. Like, it's not legal in a lot of countries.
Oh, I understand that, how it's not, but I don't find it, if that's just him just sitting in the room and, you know.
Yeah, he just watches you take your life.
Oh, then
And like,
I don't really see
over your
it. I mean, that's weird, but I don't like.
It's so strange. You should see the guy though. Like, he just looks creepy.
Oh,
like,
does he?
Yeah, he does. But then I feel like, you know, like when someone has like a creepy story behind them, they just look scary.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if they're like just like amazing. Like, apart from Ted Bundy didn't look creepy.
Yeah, he was a hottie.
Okay, I wouldn't say all that.
No, I mean, he was for like that time.
For that time,
That was that's how he got girls.
For that time, he was a
He
baddie.
knew he was a good looking guy. We're going to be talking about the story of Valerie Poco. We live in a world of compartments. Black is separate from white, true from false. We use clear borders, one that separates friends from family, a father from a husband. However, this case, it's strange. The father also becomes the husband. This case is about a French woman named Valerie Bogo, yes, I'm probably saying her name wrong, but a mother of 4. Valerie suffered a lifetime of abuse. She was raped and abused by a stepfather who became her husband. Her mother was described as an alcoholic who was violent. She entered into a relationship with Daniel Paulette, who then moved into their home with them in December of 1992 and began to rape Valerie when she was 12 years old. He was sentenced in April of 1996 to 4 years in prison for sexual assault on a minor under the age of 15. He was released from prison after 2.5 years and returned to the family home, where the rapes continued. At the age of 17, Valerie fell pregnant by one of the rapes and her mother threw her out of the house. However, at this time, her mother denies any form of rape and describes the relationship between Valerie and Daniel as being love. Valerie then moved in with Daniel, her father-in-law, and married him. They were married for 18 years and had 4 children. He forced Valerie into prostitution till one day she killed him to protect her children from the same fate. In March 2016, following a violent prostitution-related situation, she shot Daniel with a gun. Her children helped her bury the body, an act for which they were given suspended prison sentences. In 2017, she was sentenced to 4 years in prison, even though during her trial, Daniel's own sister was quoted, "The person I thank the most in the world is Valerie, because she killed him. She did what I should have done for a long time." She then went on to say that he raped her when she was 12. After 1 year of her sentence, she was exonerated. So I have a few questions to ask. Do you think that she deserved it, or was she a victim herself?
Like, in terms of, like, did she deserve to go to jail?
Yeah. No. Do you think, because a lot of the time people just look at the end result of, okay, she murdered somebody, so that means she has to face time.
Yeah.
But people forget that her whole life, she was raped, like taken advantage of, even neglected by her own mother.
Yeah.
Like, this guy was her stepfather. Before he was her husband.
And
so he molded her. And then even looking at the end, like he raped his own sister when she was 12.
Damn.
That's messed up.
It's so crazy. And then it's like, I was just thinking, like, in Australia, a lot of the times I've seen, like, on the news and things, like, why do victims of rape, I don't even want to, like, say victims, but survivors fall through the cracks?
Yeah, it's true. Like,
because a lot of the time, there's a stigma of people going to the police and saying, you know, like, I've been raped and things like that, sexual assault and things like that, because it's so hard to, there's a lot of stigma, yes, but there's also, it's actually one of the hardest things to fight in the court of law.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time when people have been raped, the first thing that you're going to do is wash yourself.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
And with that means you're actually removing evidence. So it takes a long time to kind of get that. And then it's just, I don't know, it's also interesting how the victims are also seen as the people to blame. Like, I was actually doing more research and I was looking at that in Queensland, there's this legal loophole that also allows Queensland rapists to claim that they were so drunk that their victims was that they thought their victim was consenting.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and there was this case where there's this guy named Luke Lazarus, which is too similar to my name, was convicted of anally raping Saxon Mullins in an alley behind a nightclub in 2013. He was acquitted on appeal after serving 11 months behind bars because the New South Wales District Court eventually found the then 18-year-old virgin was consenting to anal sex, even though in her mind she was not. And after a 5-long-year battle, the judge found Mr. Lazarus had a genuine and honest belief that Miss Mullins had consented because she did not try to run away.
Wow.
How messed up is that?
And he didn't get indicted for that.
Nothing. he did 1 year and then got scot-free because she apparently didn't run away from it.
That's so sad.
That's so disgusting.
There's a lot of loopholes in the legal system, but yeah, go on.
There definitely is, and I feel like there's such a like a rape culture that even we like as people can actually fall into as well. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You could actually just be like dating someone, and like I feel like if you are having intercourse and that person is not into it at all, and like you continue, like I feel like that's like
Sexual assault.
Yes, that's sexual assault for sure. Ooh. I feel if that person's not
like,
if they're just laying there, they're
100%.
not doing anything, they seem like they're not into it at all, but they're not voicing it. I feel like that's the same thing. And I feel like even like just like little things like when people say no, but then they kind of get begged into it, and then they also
that's true.
Sexual assault.
So there is like a lot of loopholes.
There's a lot of loopholes, and I think also there's two sides of the coin of that situation where I think a lot of times people think, being that it's 2021, I feel like people are very maybe sometimes overly sensitive.
Yeah.
And not saying that situation is not overly sensitive, but like, you know how sometimes it'd be like, there's some people take the piss, be like, oh, I'm touching you. Can I consent? Yeah. Do you consent? Do you consent to this? Yada, yada. It's like too much sometimes. Yeah. But it's to protect yourself. You have to nowadays.
Yes. I think we're talking about how like we're all so good at laughing at everything, but sometimes it's you taking it too far. Yeah. But like going back to your question about did she deserve to should she have like served time? I don't think so, because I feel like she spent her whole life suffering, man. Yeah. Like she spent her whole life being like a survivor. I don't want to use that word victim as well, but she spent her whole life suffering.
Yeah. And broken and damaged, and she had enough.
She had enough. The reason she shot him,
his life was her only way out.
Exactly. Yeah. And the reason she shot him is because they have 4 kids together, right? And they were teenagers at the time. Yeah. And he was starting to mold the 14-year-old daughter. Wow. So she was like, you cannot do what you've done to me, to our child. Fucked up, but our child.
To be honest.
So initially he was married to her mum.
Yes.
Damn.
To be honest, as fucked up as it is, like I'm glad that she was set 100%. Free. Yeah. Like she was set free, and I feel like she should not be. Like she spent her whole life in prison. Yeah. Like, you know, trapped, and then she finally escaped by killing this man, killing this evil human.
She probably thought prison wasn't even. She's like, there's nothing prison can do that I've probably been through that isn't worse. That's calm. That's paradise.
Man, are you serious?
Yeah.
Because she was a prisoner her whole life, essentially.
Exactly. That's nothing to her.
Damn. But do you know there's a lot of cases like this where like someone who's like the victim of domestic violence or like sexual violence, they end up killing like the perpetrator, the person who's like done the crime to them. Yeah. And a lot of the time they do get indicted, like they get indicted and they can get acquitted, but it doesn't happen often.
She was sentenced to 4 years in prison. She got exonerated after 1 year, but it's only because the case was very popular in France.
So like she had a lot of media.
Yeah. But it was crazy. Yeah. When she got exonerated, the courtroom clapped.
Like I agree
though. Yeah, of course. But it was like there's so many people that don't get
don't get that.
Like wasn't there a case in America that Centonia Brown?
Okay.
Yeah, and she did like 20 years or something.
Wow.
Same thing.
Yeah. So once it came into light in the media, people were like, no, and then they fought
her free.
Yeah.
The same thing, but poor thing.
Because
30 years. Man.
She was she killed crazy. She killed her rapist as well.
Yeah, she was like 16. I think she got out when she was like 30 or 40 or something.
Did they compensate her?
No.
That's crazy. Because like, have you guys seen that documentary? Not even documentary, it's a movie. Behind Their Eyes.
No, but it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, so it's about like these. I think there's 4 or 5 black men who get wrongly accused of raping a young girl in a park.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
Isn't it When They See Us?
Yeah, when they see us. Yeah. What did you say?
I said Behind Their Eyes.
Yeah, I was like,
When They See Us.
Yeah, When They See Us. Yeah.
But they got compensated because they served a very long period of time in prison.
The money's not worth it.
The money's not worth it,
especially for Corey.
Of course. I couldn't finish that series.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't. It was just too heartbreaking. Like, you know when something's just too real?
Yeah.
It was just too real.
And it was real.
It was real. Yeah. It was real. They probably didn't even like touch on like what really
the depths of what really happened.
Because you could tell Corey's character had been through it, and
crazy. All right.
I feel like when a someone kills their predator, I don't think they should go to jail.
I agree.
I completely agree.
I don't care how you kill him.
Yeah,
let him be dead.
100%.
It just, I don't see.
I don't care how you do it.
Just no, seriously, man.
True, I agree.
Get them in therapy. Get them the help they need.
I think it would also still be very difficult being like now having to live with the fact that you've been like someone who's survived a form of violence, and now you have to deal with the trauma of also killing someone.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like it's a push and a pull. Like, it's easy to say, like, oh, yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know. I can't even imagine being in their shoes.
I don't even know if they would. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the situation, but I don't think their trauma would come from killing that person.
I reckon it would.
I feel like it would come from like everything that they've gone through up until 100%, that point.
The violence of like what has actually happened to them. But like, just deep it like this. Like, look, I'm not speaking as if this is my expertise, but you've had this experience where someone has been like extremely violent to you. They've taken away, like, I feel like sexual assault is a form of like you're killing a part of a person.
Yeah.
You're taking a piece of them away from them, like any type of violence in that essence. So you have to deal with that trauma, and then now you've taken that person's life, like, because sometimes it's in a form of trying to find closure and trying to like regain like that power in that situation. So now you have to deal with the trauma of like, okay, the violent side of it, but like the violent act that you've done as well. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it. You know what, like, if that's what you need to do to move on, it is what it is.
But there's also like even cases where, like, say if that, like for this case, when she killed her rapist, there's people that have Stockholm syndrome.
For sure, 100%.
Where they actually missed their capture.
Yeah.
Well, capture or captive? I don't know what the word is. But they missed that person.
And they feel...
Because it's a psychological, mess up as well. So it's intense. It's really intense.
It is. Would you guys ever pick up a hitchhiker?
Hell no.
It's got to even take a second to think about it.
No. Every time I see a horror movie, I'm like, you deserve it. Honestly, because it's just like, why are you doing that dumb shit? Why? For what? Why are you opening the door? Why are you doing this? Why are you allowing them to come? That's it. That's your problem.
This girl said, hell no.
No way. Who hitchhikes in 2021?
I don't know. Get the bus, G.
Get the bus. Get a train.
Uber,
walk. Like, I'm sorry. There's so many things that we have access to. Why do you have to hitchhike? Honestly, that's crazy to me. Hitchhiking in 2021 is crazy.
Get an Uber pool, man. It's like $2.
Why are you standing on the side of the road with your thumb out? For what? Like, come on, walk a little bit. I'm sure there's a bus.
No, do you know what it is for me?
But then they need money for the bus.
Nah, you can, come on, one zone. Tell the bus driver, come on, brother, let's just go up the road.
Well, even like 20 cents.
Beg him, do something. Huh?
They do like the fake Smart Rider thing. So they'll go on YouTube, they'll play the Smart Rider thing when they step onto the bus. So it goes, and they go on the bus.
That's broke. Like,
no, but people do some ghetto shit, man.
That's ghetto.
People do
for a bus ride.
Yeah.
For one zone, two zone.
Yeah.
Sometimes
crazy. A lot of bus drivers don't care.
Yeah,
I used to use the same ticket. Like,
oh yeah, me too. All the time.
Quickly put it up.
All the time.
Like, was for me like.
Can you show me your concession card again? I'll be like, oh shit. It's like expired like 2 years ago.
Do you know? I'm so thankful to God. I've never gotten like a ticket from like the train or the bus.
Shut up.
Because
really?
I've never gotten like I've witnessed people having.
We had to write emails.
That was literally my every week life.
Yeah, you were crazy with that shit. We had to write emails.
I used to get off the train when they would come in. You know how they would come in.
Yeah, get off at, what is it? What's that first stop? The stop before the city. MacGyver, get off at MacGyver, because you know what are they called?
The
transport. Yeah.
But guys, the Transwala guys, they take it too far, man.
They do,
they
man.
think they're FBI, and it's just kind of like
relax.
You are not Trans WA. You do not own this company.
Trans WA.
No, seriously, I'm telling you the truth. Me not paying $2, what has it done to your life? Nothing.
But it's so embarrassing when you're like, it's a full train and you get a ticket and
they're
you're
like,
sitting there.
$100 and you're like, fuck yeah.
I go home and write that email.
Do they usually like sit like waiver it?
Yeah, they usually do. Yeah. Well, mine have always, one time I paid and then the other 2 or 3 times I had to get a waiver. I got it waived.
That's so dope. No, I've seen it happen to my friends and I just sit there and I laugh.
But it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing though. Yeah. It is embarrassing when you're just like, getting the fines. Like everyone's kind of.
I became so professional at like avoiding them.
Really?
Yeah, man.
You get off when you see some sort of movement at the carriage or something. You know, okay, let me just stop here, even though it's not my fault.
They make such a scene out of the fact that they're gonna check tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right,
tickets. It's like you see everyone moving, so I'm like, okay, it's my exit. It's my exit. By the way, this is years ago.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I actually can't
High
remember
school
the.
things.
Actually, you know what? I got on the train a few weeks ago. And it felt strange
Did it?
because I have not been on the train in years. Like I went to the city, so it was just like a quick stop from my house. And I literally was sitting there and I was just like,
It doesn't feel right.
is this poverty?
Oh my god.
No, I love the
But
train.
you know what? I actually do like the train. I'm not a fan
It
of
was
the bus.
actually like a nice,
I honestly
it was a
enjoyed
nice-
catching transport. I liked it.
I don't mind
That's
it,
dope,
but
man.
it's like when it's when it's the worst is when it's raining.
Yes.
I just feel like it's rock bottom. I
Yes.
actually want to cry sometimes. Like,
Whoa.
yeah, no, it's really sad. I don't know
So
why.
what about that when I'm a hitchhiker when it's raining?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you think they feel? I don't care. I would not be standing on the side of the road with my thumb out, asking for a car to pick me up. I would take a bus in the rain, storm, anything, any day.
This girl said nah.
No.
No,
That's
thank
not
you.
happening. No.
That is so funny though. But I remember like just being young and getting the train everywhere. Like when I first moved to Perth, everywhere. I was just training it. If it was the other side of the city, you just hop on the train. And even just like after nights out, getting on the train.
Definitely.
My line's like one of the ghetto lines, like proper ghetto people
What was
fighting.
it?
I was going to say Armadale. You don't have to talk too much. I already know what you're going to say.
People would just be fighting on that train. And I remember there was one time I was going home with my
It's
girls.
so entertaining.
It is.
It is.
Entertaining
It's so
as fuck.
entertaining. And like
I
me and my
miss it.
group of friends were so loud, and we were like on the train, like all drunk as fuck, like just kicking. And one of these girls, she got pissed off at us because we were being too loud. And she's like, "You guys need to shut the fuck up." And then one of my girls looked at her and goes, "What the fuck did she just say?"
And you guys got into a fight?
No, we didn't. We didn't. Thank God we didn't, because I can't fight for shit.
Yeah.
I can't. Ooh.
We're too grown for that, man.
No, man.
I don't know.
But I
At the
remember
time,
that so
but yeah.
fun.
Oh, at the
like,
time, obviously. It was
I miss
different.
being that young and naive.
I feel like Perth isn't set up for like public transport. Like it's not a thing that people do. A lot of people,
transport here
and
is
that's
shit,
the point.
bro.
It's not even that. It's just people don't use it. Like everyone drives, and that's the biggest problem nowadays. Like because parking, lot of shit,
yeah.
it's just too much. But like that's the problem. Like a lot of people don't catch a train or a bus or anything.
It's
like
just
that.
not reliable here, because like I remember like in England when I used to get the bus everywhere, like buses are there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they're there.
I know.
Here it's just not reliable.
But it's because people, like I said, people aren't
drive,
on it. But if people are on the bus and trains and everything else, trust me, that shit would be on rotation like every 5 minutes.
because I bet like in like the eastern states it would be very, very like sufficient.
I think Melbourne and probably would be. Maybe even Sydney.
Yeah,
But
because
like
driving.
here, it's calm. Everyone drives. If you don't have a car, then you got. That's why you're hitchhiking.
in the rain. So you're telling me you
No, you
drive
go to
past a
Uber.
hitchhiker?
Sis, you think?
Nah,
Yeah.
I'm not capping. I'd never pick up a hitchhiker.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself.
Seven, would you do it?
Never.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not,
You'd be
I'm
a
not
fool.
I just think black people aren't made for
You would
that.
be a fool
No.
to do that shit.
I'll give you
no,
$10
no.
for the bus before I let you.
The worst
get in
thing
my car.
about transport was when you like had to be somewhere, and then if you missed the bus, you were late.
Yeah.
Like if for work, that was the worst. That's when you were really begging for your license, man. Yeah.
Especially if
Fuck
you
this,
know,
I'm gonna get
not
my
even that, like, but even like when you just
Or when
know
you
the
run
next
for the
bus,
bus.
the next bus that you're catching is like you have to get there on time,
Yeah.
Oh,
or
that's
you
it.
missed it, or you got to wait like half an hour. That
Yeah.
shit was or the train or something. I'd hate that. I hate running for
Your
buses
ego
or
went
trains.
down the
No, that is embarrassing. That would make me
Yeah,
cry.
I remember
What?
one time I'm
running for the
running
bus.
for the bus. Your ego
And then
goes
they
out the
keep
window.
driving.
Oh,
Has that ever happened?
Not
They
even-
keep
yeah.
driving?
No,
Yeah,
the
that's
worst.
sad.
I tell you what the worst is when you're running, you get on the bus, and you know how you pay for your ticket or whatever. The driver starts driving, you're not balanced. you're like falling down and shit. I'm like, fuck, man. Let me get ready. Let me get up. They're so rushed to go. Like, let me sit down first.
No, but
They're
it's
so
the
quick
comment.
with it.
It's the little.
they have it.
You're in a rush. Like,
Oh my God.
has the bus driver ever said that you have to run for the bus?
What?
Like, oh, you're in a rush. Oh, it's all right, lover. I'll wait for
I remember
you.
one time I got really pissed off, and it was a female bus driver. I was running late. I was going to uni.
Yeah.
And I was running to the bus. It was packed, so everyone's eyes looking at me. So I get on the bus, and there was this really drunk old man on the
Yeah.
bus, right? And I was trying to like pay for my my ticket.
Yeah.
And then the guy comes up to me, mind you, but like the bus is full, so everyone's looking at us. And then he was like, "Oh, can I get your number?" And I was like, "No." Like I was very uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm like, no,
sir.
come on. I was just like, I was so. And this is when I was like, I don't even know, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Let me get your number. Let me get your number." Drunk. It's in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then I'm looking at the bus driver like, "Hello, intervene. Like, hello." Yeah, like I'm looking at her like, hello. And she's a woman too. And then she's like, "Oh, I've got a pen."
What?
And I was like, huh? And I was like, bitch.
She said, "I've got a pen."
I've got a pen. And she gave me the back of a ticket to write on. I was like, "Nah, bitch, you're playing games right now." And I just looked at her and she's like, I could tell everyone in the back of my head was just eyes were burning. I'm like, okay, what do I do? And then I just wrote a fake number and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to give you a call later." And then he just gives me the biggest kiss on the cheek and he just gets off the bus and I'm just at the front by the pool and I could just feel all eyes on me. I was so fucking mad. I was fuming, bro. Stupid ass. No, I got a pen. Why would you? Who says that?
That's fucked up.
You can clearly see I'm in distress. Like I need you to help.
Help me. And she said she's got a pen.
I've got a pen.
And she's
And
driving.
she's a woman too.
And she was even driving the bus.
Yes.
Nah, she's not.
And then he
she's
hopped
not
off and I'm there.
serious.
Everyone looking at me. Oh, it was definitely a low point.
Nah.
I think
Transport stories. There's so many. That's
to get my
hilarious.
license the next day. Did you actually? No, honestly, I did. Remember I kept failing? So I went to go do my hazards. I passed my driving. It was the hazards.
No, man. I did my driving test like 3 times.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, I passed my after the second one. I fucked up with the first one. But I kept...
Oh my God. Please tell her.
I kept failing that fucking hazard.
So ridiculous.
Yes.
hazard
I
perception?
did it 7 times.
7.
Yes. 7
7?
times. 7 times. I would sit outside that fucking licensing center and just wait there. Remember me, go back in. And you know what it was? I was stupid like that. I was just trying to figure out how do I get my license. Like, I don't even know why. I was clicking whenever I needed to click. I didn't realize. And then at one point I was like, okay, I need to study this. Like, I think after number 4, I was like, let me study this. And then I think I asked somebody to like tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Clearly that shit didn't work.
I don't understand. It's so...
I don't know. I actually don't know.
It's so simple.
It's so simple. It's like, where do you click when you need to slow
Like
down?
the driving test is the hard part.
I know, it was the fucking hazards. I was like, why am I not passing this? And then I gave up for a while. I was like, you know what? It's not for me.
I'm not supposed to drive.
I did not. I was like, you know, I'm going to take a break. And I took about 3 months. I was like, let me clear my mind. Let me see what the problem is.
Yeah.
And then I had the little, you know how you could test it. I don't know if you can, they do
Like
it nowadays.
online.
But like you do it at home, like
Yeah.
the little thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it. And then I passed. And it was the best day of my life.
Oh man,
We went to a party. Do you remember?
Yeah, we went to a party and we
In a wagon.
we drove her dad. We drove her dad's
Finally
wagon.
got my license.
I pulled up with a wagon. Hey, Leia.
We felt so hot.
And then I remember we were like, it's 11:30, guys. We gotta go home.
Yeah, because they used to have the 12.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, they still do it. Yeah.
Oh, because for the P players.
yeah.
I remember I just got home at midnight. My mum was waiting at the door, like, hello. It's like, I made it.
Nah, that's crazy.
Man.
You know what? I wish being young. I miss being young, but like
We are young.
younger.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think we can talk about this on another episode.
For
still.
sure, man. There's so
Definitely.
many stories.
But guys,
Too many.
wishing you a very happy soon-to-be Halloween and just an enjoyable spooky season, enjoyable October. Thank you for tuning into our true crime episode with the Left Out Podcast. I felt like it sounded cool when I whispered. Did it?
Very sensual.
Very sensual. Okay, ASMR. Nah, but you guys have a blessed and beautiful week. It's been your local stallion, Miss Chira.
It's
Left Out
Debs.
Podcast.
And it's Naz.
Ow! See you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.